What's going on? I'm here with the one and only Adara. Super excited to be here with you today and talk about this process. We've been working on this EP for a while now, sort of in phases, but really just the last year, we could say. So I'm super excited to, having being the person that you chose to, produce your first EP and, just to continue working with you in general. But I'm excited today to talk about the EP Moods and Memories.
Awesome. Hi, Ange. It's been such a wild ride getting to work with you on this, and you have been such a great support throughout this entire thing. I'm obviously, as you said, I'm Adara. I am a very new artist, someone who has been doing vocal training for a very long time, but then suddenly decided, I want to write my own songs. And so I've been making the transition from singer to songwriter now. And it's been such an amazing journey with you.
Yeah, awesome. I'm happy to hear that. What do you think actually ignited you to want to be a songwriter as well as a singer?
If I'm being honest, it's something I've wanted to do since I was a kid. Um, I've been singing since I was a kid for a very long time for various things, various choirs, whether it was in church or in college or in just kind of musical theater in general.
Oh,
And I think something I started to notice was I have a very light soprano voice, but don't have the right attitude for it. And it's so hard to find songs that speak to me. So I decided to start creating them on my own.
that's so exciting. So today we'll kind of go through obviously the questions that I usually ask, but things might come up like that one that will maybe spark some more conversation. Um, so first question is like, where were you at before working together?
Ooh, very early in the songwriting journey. I think by the time I met you, I had only written a total of four songs, and only one of them were released. Actually, no, two of them were released and out to the public.
Okay.
And they're ones that you might have a little bit of difficulty finding, but they exist. So, but thing is, I think I was only writing about one song every 3 months.
Wow. Knowing where you're at now, that's just a huge change that you've made. But that's really crazy. So one time every 3 months. And was that, do you think that was because of like confidence in your skills or just like lack of systems or
Ooh, it was both. I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do for my songwriting system to actually get it from beginning to end.
yeah.
I was not confident in my skills, which, I mean, to be honest, yeah, whenever you start out these journeys, you can't always expect yourself to be great.
Ooh,
And
for
so
sure.
and so kind of trying to get over that whole entire like newbie thing that you have where it's like whatever you start out making doesn't sound good to you and just kind of pushing past that and continuing and getting more reps in. That was not something I had when I started working with you, but that is something that I started figuring out while working with you.
Yeah, no, definitely. I love that you said about reps too, because I'm of the belief that confidence comes from reps. And just once the more you do it and the more skill that you build, the more confident you get at it. I don't think confidence is something you can just, speak into existence necessarily. Like right now, like we were just talking about, I'm not a confident singer, but I'm a confident producer. And that's just basically out of reps and training. Like I just don't have a lot of training as a singer versus I do as a producer. Um, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. So what did you want to do before we started working together that you couldn't do?
Well, obviously, one thing, finishing a song in a timely manner and finishing it well. That was something I was actually really struggling with. And also, I guess, idea generation, because I myself did not know myself as a creative writer. So it was something that I just was really struggling with, and I just felt really lost at the beginning.
Mhm. Yeah. It's crazy because now you've finished how many songs outside of us working together? I know we've done
Oh
four.
gosh. So I have finished at least 12 demos last year, and this year I am already up to about 7.
Wow. You're gonna pass last year by maybe the end of this month, but definitely by April.
Exactly. So it's
Yeah.
just finding yourself, getting those reps in.
Yeah, no, it's huge. Yeah, I love that you said that because we're definitely very similar, I think, in mindset when it comes to a lot of these things. I think we're both very like systematic, and you know, when it comes to a lot of these things, it's very hard to have both of a is for you, more technical brain. I think it's for me as well, but also have a creative brain, and like the way that you can create that is something I'm really fascinated about. Um,
Oh
yeah,
yeah. And it's something that just kind of, as I keep saying, it requires practice a lot. But like that marriage between that technical brain and that creative brain is something top notch. And I do think it's something that like is a basically the thing that is going to set a lot of people apart in being able to finish their projects and finish them well. Because yes, you do need that creative emotional brain to really get the emotion of the song and the emotion of the art into that. But finishing that, that takes a technical brain.
yeah, no, 100%. I agree with that. It's something like I said, I'm super fascinated with. I think there are a lot of the entrepreneurs that inspire me are like creative entrepreneurs, like Walt Disney or Steve Jobs. It's like that's what they have done is they've mixed creativity and systems, and so that's
Mhm.
what I see as what I provide the most. Um, Maybe not the most, but definitely the top three. So, next question is like, what were your primary concerns about working with me?
Yeah, so I guess I've had a couple experiences with producers where I didn't always feel heard. Where to describe it, I think oftentimes they treated my vocals and my contribution as just another instrument for them to play with. And when I'm writing songs for myself in that way, I'm not exactly an instrument. I'm the one expressing the soul of the song. And that is something that I kind of have learned now that I should never settle for a producer that just kind of treats the contribution as just another instrument. And that's something that's kind of why you were a bit of a breath of fresh air because you were very much from the beginning. We're collaborating together. We are making a piece of art together. I'm here to push you on track with the vision that you have and to make it sound good.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. I was going to ask you if you ever felt like, our experience was like that, but I think also it could be a little bit of a genre switch because I do know you did like once with like an EDM producer.
Oh yeah, EDM,
Yeah,
EDM mostly.
yeah, so that definitely makes a big difference. But I love the way you phrased your voice being, I don't know what you said exactly, but like the soul of the song, basically.
Yeah.
That's really interesting because I tend to think of it like that when I'm making beats too. It's like I'm making this to then be able to fit vocals, like I would say, like on top. Like vocals are basically number one. Like the first thing that anybody hears in a song is your
Hmm.
vocals. Most people, especially like the average consumer, has no idea what's going on in the production, and so the vocals is the first thing that they hear. Um, so I think being a great producer has a lot to do with being able to craft your beats around vocals and not just like make your beats the number one thing, because when it comes
Yeah,
down to not only helping artists, sorry, but also the listener's not hearing these like little modulations or the panning in your synths. It's like they're hearing the vocals mostly.
exactly. And it I'll always say it does really depend on the genre because like with like EDM and all that, like the instrumentation is very important for that too.
Yeah.
But like when it comes to me putting something like out under myself and I'm the main front artist, obviously like I'm the one providing the soul for the song as I said. So that is something that I have to that we have to kind of take into account whenever making anything.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. I'm curious as well because the way that we were introduced obviously was through another client, Win. And so do you think that gave you a bit of a push towards me, or do you think it made you more hesitant, made you hesitate more, or like how do you think that sort of relationship? Yeah.
Oh, it definitely gave me a push because I'm actually I trust Wynn's judgment on people quite a bit because
Yeah.
they've had some similar experiences as that I have had.
Yeah.
So it is often like because they also are one where they just have one heck of a creative vision,
Mhm.
and them finding someone that respected their creative vision is always a huge marker for me on whether or not I want to work with someone for certain projects.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's interesting because yeah, definitely Win is a storyteller, like in every like
Oh yeah.
aspect of it, and they're very good with the like conveying of emotion as well. So yeah, I do. I did. It's interesting because you guys both had, I would say, similar, slightly different, but similar experiences with other producers. Just maybe not respecting your what you bring to the table as much as I would say like they should have. Um, so very interesting to hear about that because I think it makes me reflect more on what else I can do too, to
Hmm.
knowing that that's something that you've both experienced. I'm sure other clients have experienced that as well. It's like, how can I make it more of a safe space for that once we start working together? That's actually something that's really important to me.
I think you've done a really good job of that in general throughout the whole process, is being able to kind of I do a little bit of improv comedy sometimes with my husband. I'm not very good at it, but one of the like number one rule in improv is yes and I think that's something you're pretty good about, where you just take an idea and go, okay, so if I run with this, how am I going to enhance this? And then you kind of come back with like a
Yeah.
track later going like, what about this? Does this kind of help to enhance this idea? And it's that nice back and forth that we have that really, I think, made this project have a special place in my heart and also is probably one of the better things I've done so far.
That's awesome. No, I'm happy to hear that. I really appreciate what you said because yeah, the way I'm trying to see it now too is more of like if someone gives me an idea, it's more of okay, how can I will this into existence more than it is okay, what else can we do? It's like cool, they've given me the idea. Now all I have to do is make it come to life. Like that's my only job, the way I see it. So no, that's really great feedback, and I appreciate that a ton. When you had these experiences with other producers, what made you just work with me anyway? I know we talked a bit about that with Wynn's contribution, but yeah, I'm just curious. Was there anything else?
Um, just in general, I kind of feel like you and I have a very similar vibe as people,
Yeah.
where I mean, you and I always, whenever we end up on these calls, we always end up going like on long tangents talking about something in life happening.
Yeah, it's true.
And honestly, I feel like just kind of that personal connection. You're a very kind of personal and bright and positive person that will still continue to like push but not be mean about it.
Yeah.
And that's something I have always appreciated throughout this entire process.
Okay, that's great. I appreciate that a ton. But it's good to hear that from other people because obviously I have my own insecurities of whether or not I'm doing things right. Or if I think even with us, maybe now that we've done the full project of the first one, it's like next time. I know we talked about this a bit, but it might be more of me pushing a little harder than I have on certain things rather than being
Yeah,
so
actually.
relaxed.
Actually, yeah. Like if you definitely like make that assessment of just kind of like whether you believe that artists can do better and then push them to do better.
Yeah.
Because there are definitely some parts where I'm just like, we could have done that better. And I'm like, I would have loved to hear that. I would have loved to have heard that while I was recording. So
Okay. Yeah, that's good to know. Definitely, we jumped a little bit ahead there, but yeah, that's definitely no good to know because I was going to ask you for general feedback. Um, I do think part of it is something that I'm working on, which is like I can still, be. a positive collaborator while also pushing you. And
Mm.
it's tough because I've definitely worked with people from my music or my business where I felt like they're too pushy and it's more of a negative thing. So it's for me, it's like finding that balance between still pushing you to be great, but also doing it in like a positive manner.
I mean, that's something that just takes practice and a lot of experience. I've honestly found that like the people who do it best are the ones who have kind of been in the business for about like 20 so years and
Yeah,
have seen enough clients to know kind of the psychology of the artist that you're talking to so
yeah.
that they can figure out pretty quickly it's like, okay, how can I push you without it being a negative experience for you?
I got to write that down. I love what you just said, like the psychology of the artist at different levels. Sorry, I'm gonna do a deep dive into that after this. Um,
I swear some
yeah,
producer talks about it somewhere, or if they don't, they
yeah.
should, because like us artists are very sensitive, and
Oh
so
yeah,
it's like
I know that as an artist too. I know that.
me texting you with like just giant paragraphs sometimes, being like,
Yeah.
"What? It's not what I didn't do it right."
No, but I mean that's what makes it more rewarding because going through the creative process, like I'm sure anybody that's a creative knows this, is you're gonna have points when you're making your art that it's like, oh, I hate this. I hate this right now. I don't want to keep working on this, but you have to push through and keep
Mm-hmm.
doing it anyway. And that's what gets you to a product that you love. And you can also respect, like, there's always gonna be songs I've made recently that I'm like, oh man, I could have done X, Y, and Z. But a lot of that like perfectionism that I think like we struggled with too early on
Mm-hmm.
was like, okay, you have to also realize there's a certain point where you're going to put this one to bed and just do better on the next one.
Exactly. There is a certain point where it's just like you gotta just cut it off and just continue on. Otherwise, you're gonna drive yourself insane and you're never gonna finish anything.
Yes.
That's like kind of why it's like I know this is gonna sound a little like woo-woo, but I have like my mourning ceremony, like to mourn the song that I have created to for not
Oh.
being the idea in my head. And it's
Hmm.
basically just like a period of time where I just go in a closet somewhere by myself and just get all those negative thoughts out. Just get it out, put it in my notebook of negative energy, and then close it and put it away so that I can come back and see the song as it is.
So much of it is perspective. Like I think what you're saying is really powerful, honestly, and I'm gonna steal that for myself because I think there's every song is going to have negatives that you don't love or that's like not exactly what you wanted. But when you can take that away and also take out like the positive of just, I finished the song. Oh my God. Like just be grounded and like centered and actually look at it
Mm-hmm.
for what it is. That's when you can, genuinely give an assessment of, okay, is it ready or is it not? Because there will be times when you come back to it and it's not ready. There's, something that you genuinely don't like, or there's something in the levels that's not quite right. But once you can take away your emotional perspective, and that's when it comes down to what we talked about before of like technical thinking and creative thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because that's when it's like you take out the emotion from it, and it's more of the business brain that's like, okay, no emotion. Is this ready or is it not? It's a yes or a no. There's no like, oh, it's kind of like it's almost, it's a yes or a no. It's not a
Exactly. Like in the creative writing area, like the advice that I always have heard is write drunk, edit sober. It's kind of in the same vibe, but basically just like get all that inhibition out of the way and just write with that raw emotion and just get it on the page and basically just make it exist first.
Yeah.
And then put it down, come back to it with that logical brain and go like, okay, is this actually a good idea? Am I onto something or was this just the alcohol?
Yeah, 100%. And
Obviously don't do you don't have to do the alcohol part, but basically it's just whatever removes that inhibition and just you can
dude,
start off your creation with that raw emotion.
I'm telling you that this book, we were just talking about it, but I'm saying this book is going to change your life. Like I'm only on week one and I'm telling you, everything we're talking about right now is like, yeah, no, this is great. You're gonna enjoy it a ton. For a little bit of context, guys, we're gonna do this together. So I'm very excited for us.
Oh gosh, I am excited and scared, but also
Yeah,
I think it's going to be very helpful from the way that you were talking about it.
yeah, yeah. And just also to go a little back on track too, but I think everything that you said though about um the letting everything go when you're creating. Like you don't want to have all of these negative thoughts in your head or even like super positive thoughts. That's like not really going to help you either. Um,
Mhm.
but it's just like letting everything go and just letting yourself be creative is that's what I'm working on right now, which is why I started this book, is because that's going to be what allows you to then look at something objectively, like you said, whether, and also take the time to like, don't look at it right after you're done. Look at it the
For
next
real.
day or 2 days later, whatever time you need to then go back to it and look at it and say, okay, is this a good idea or not? Just have the, when it comes down to like the process of us working together, you work with any producer, it's like, okay, the beat, you heard version one. Okay, you had all of these emotions when you heard it. Let's like detach, go back to it 2 days later, and what's like my actual feedback on it, rather than, you know, giving a bunch of random emotional feedback as soon as it comes up, and then you don't really, it's not really productive as for collaboration.
Definitely not. And I think that's something that like you and I are able to actually really find that balance on is to be able
Yeah.
to find like that technical feedback, which I usually have to turn on my technical brain just because like whenever I'm hearing myself sing, my emotional brain turns on and I start going like, "Oh no, that
Yeah.
wasn't what I want. That wasn't exactly right. I hear it. Ah."
Yeah.
So, but like I think you were pretty good throughout the entire process of like keeping it grounded in that technical and also like really helping to kind of teach the whole entire what is good enough here, what is like the emotional foundation that we need to have in this song, and like having that feedback and soundboard with you on like how to really express that emotion was really helpful.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, I appreciate that. And I think we're kind of the model in my mind right now of like good feedback systems. Like I'm after this, I want to like I don't know, like take everything that we did and just like put it into the system for everybody. Because there are some people who are not as able to communicate feedback as well, which is fine. And I think a lot of that just comes from lack of knowledge and
Mm-hmm.
like we said before, like misinterpreting certain words. So yeah, no, that's huge. And I definitely think that we have a very good, like you said, like personal connection, but also that ability to just also be honest about the way that you like there's no sugarcoating between us.
No. Sometimes it's like you can't be rude, but sometimes you just need to be
Yeah.
direct.
Yes, exactly. And also I appreciate that. Like I need directness. Like that's, the way that I've been brought up is like very, very direct. And I like it better that way. And I think honestly we get more done that way, you know.
True. And like I need it too. So it's like this is a good match.
Yeah. Yeah, honestly. Okay, so what has been the best moment of making this EP?
Honestly, finishing the last demo, and it's not like one of those things where it's like, oh, I was just so anxious to rush and get through. I think it's just more of the moment of you finish, you close that chapter, send off those vocals, and you're just kind of like, wow, I actually got through that. That especially since I think like the last three song, like it's a 4 song EP, but like first song took like 3 months, and then the last 3 songs were written in like 2 months total.
It's very interesting too because the beat for Mars is a beat that you liked a year ago when we started,
Yeah.
and then you didn't really feel connected to it at the time to like write something. but you liked the beat, I think, and then or you did write something, but you didn't like what you wrote, or something along those lines. And we
Yeah,
put
I
it
didn't
aside
like
for a
it.
bit,
Yeah.
and then you came back to it, which was so interesting to see because I think that's just part of like the natural creative process. And plus, also once you have a bit more of experience with the other songs that we made for the project, I think going back to Mars was so much easier for you because you had the confidence that you could finish it too.
Exactly. Like I think by the time I came back to Mars, I had like written about 10 other songs before that and gotten the confidence of I can finish it. It may not always be exactly what I want it to be, but it's like I can finish and I can put it down. And then I was able to kind of revisit Mars again with a little bit more of a different emotional perspective and basically find exactly what I wanted to say with that song. And that's basically when it just got really fast. I think I wrote
Yeah.
that thing in like a week.
Yeah. That was a really fast one. It's also funny enough, like my favorite one on the project.
Yeah, I was like between that one and Shame. Those are like my two
Mm.
faves.
Shame is also very good. I think Mars is a little bit more. It's more upbeat, obviously, but it's when I say favorite, I think I mean it's more something that I would listen to like regularly. Shame,
Oh
I feel
yeah.
like I have to be in a very certain like mindset.
It's a very certain mindset of a song.
Yeah, but it's a great song. Like I also love that song. Those are my favorites. Um, Very interesting. Okay, so I think that is a really important moment. It's like when you can just be proud of what you did, you know? Um, and that goes into any, aspect of any skill that you're working on or any project, whether that's creative or not, is like when you can just be like, cool, we finished. That's all that really matters is you got to the finish line.
Exactly. And also kind of had fun doing it too. And I think that's the very important part is are you having fun while making this?
Yes, especially with creativity. So important. Like if you, and obviously we said there's going to be times when you hate it and you don't like it.
Oh
But if you
yes.
can also reflect on that and be like, oh, well, that was still fun in the end, that's all that really matters.
Exactly. And that's kind of the feeling that I have with this project. It's like, does it have, it was like bumpy along the way, definitely, as I was trying to figure my own self out as a creative. But toward the end, I felt like I knew my system now and I can get that song out really quickly and also
Yeah.
have that emotional connection with it. I honestly feel like Shame and Mars are like the markers of like, oh, look, songwriting improved drastically.
Yeah. No, genuinely, because and even when we talk about the process, those two were the fastest, I think. Like
Oh yeah.
you did them and you did your part in like I want to say 2, 3 weeks for both of those, maybe
Yeah.
a month, but like that's like full demo, everything. So
Full demo, final vocals, getting
yeah,
through a couple of iterations of revisions. Yeah.
yeah. No, that's crazy to think about now. And when you compare it to the first song, it's just
Yeah.
such a night and day difference.
Definitely. And just kind of having your help along the way to kind of figure out that system, I think just made such a difference.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And a lot of it that I've learned about like communication and feedback, like we talked about, like that's from us working together. So obviously, I've learned a ton too about myself as a service provider, as a creative, in during throughout this process.
Look at us, we're
I
learning.
know.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so last question. We kind of touched on this, but what can you do now that you couldn't do before we started working together?
Oh, like depending on the beat and the inspiration, I can knock out a whole demo in a day.
There we
Like,
go.
I think the quickest demo I have thrown together now took like 2 hours. Is it the top-notch quality? Not quite there yet, but I think going from like writing songs where I get one every 3 months to being able to like sit down and knock it out in like 4 hours
Yeah.
and still have something that's workable that I can develop into a final polished song, that is insane. And I was able to do that after just kind of a year of working.
So 3 months to how long do you say the average demo takes you now?
Um, Average demo takes me about, usually the turnaround is about a week, but that's mostly because I have a 9 to 5.
Yeah,
Total
sure.
hours spent on it can be anywhere about 8 hours to 20 hours.
Wow. So for 3 months to let's say a week, like, yeah, that's insane. 12x, right? The difference?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Geez, that's crazy when when you turn on your technical brain for that and you think in the like 12x. Geez, any type of increase that's 12x is, yeah, that's insane.
That's
Um,
nuts.
that is nuts. Yeah. So I mean, you should be proud of it, honestly, because you've done the work. Like I'm not gonna say all I've done, but the guidance or coaching or feedback support that I provided has just been you've been doing the work. Just to be clear.
Oh, thank you. And uh, I need to take a compliment. I should say that I am proud of myself that I have been able to get through this project and get to where I am. But I will also still say that just having you as a collaborator was instrumental in being able to get through that development process.
Okay. I appreciate it. I will take the compliment. And I'm proud of you though. I'm very proud of you. Um, yeah, it's just like I said, it's insane. It's only been, let's say, a year, and this is an incredible journey to been a part of. Is just watching you blossom into this like badass freaking singer, songwriter, creative, like that can finish a demo in a week. Yeah. And honestly, it would probably be like a day or 2 days if you were honestly doing it full time, which you will be very soon.
I
So
hope so.
yeah, so very excited. Okay, and last question. I know I said that already, but I realized I didn't write this one down. Is any like feedback for me for like improving the process? I know we talked a bit about pushing you more, and I think
Mm-hmm.
that goes. That's kind of like person to person. Some people need to be pushed more. Some people, have a little bit of like that themselves. I think you're kind of in the middle where there are certain things that maybe I could push you more on. Um, but yeah, general feedback.
Yeah, I definitely think that being able to actually identify that up front and sooner, I think is going to be
Mm,
able to help you in your business quite a bit. Is
yeah,
to be able to identify like what type of person you're working with and how they want to be pushed and how to communicate. And also, I have found like kind of working with other producers after that, like setting the ground rules on what this project and vision is going to be
yeah,
has been tremendous. Like I still do work with like other EDM producers, but now they basically come to me and say, "Hi, so I do value artist contribution, but I maintain the final right to final like say on a project."
okay,
And like having that up front has been very
yeah,
useful to me because at that
mhm,
point I have the right to say yes or no to that type of engagement.
yes. I know it's super helpful. So like this is kind of going back to what we talked about, like psychology of the artist at different levels. I think
Mm-hmm.
identifying kind of the person you want to work with and then also setting the ground rules of the project and the vision. Yeah, so something I started doing, which we didn't do in our project, but something I've started doing recently, which I am gonna like include this more in that, is I have like a kind of like a basic Google form that you just fill out when you start working together. It's got ideas about like reference, timeline, some issues you might have had with like previous collaborators. So like we can just kind of be open about that. Anything else that I should know. I don't remember exactly like the gear they have, and their experience with vocal recording, like those kinds of things. But I think a lot of it that I don't have in there is like psychological and like feedback wise, like how good what kind of feedback do you like to have? Is it direct? Is it you need more of a push? Like, I think that's a great question I could ask. And then we also do like a vision call, basically. It's like the first
Mm-hmm.
call of the project is, okay, what's the vision? Like I said, I have a little framework that goes through these things. And then you kind of set the timeline, basically based on their timeline, but also with like the phases of making the song of like beat
Mm-hmm.
production, songwriting, um, vocal production, mixing and mastering, and like what that would look like in a timeline.
Yeah, I think that's something that is would that definitely would have been very valuable at the beginning of this project, but I think
Yeah.
it's something that we kind of started figuring out as we went naturally, and I'm
Yes.
really glad to hear that you've like actually written down a system about it. You should send
Thank
it
you.
over when you have time.
Yeah, no, for sure I can. I can send you, I mean, the next project we work on, I have a slightly different form because we've already worked together, but for like the
Mhm.
next project, but then the same thing for the call would be basically the same of like, this is, approximate timeline. I'll just send you what I have. But any feedback actually that you have on it would be great because yeah, definitely I've realized that actually the first week of the project is basically the most important part. It's like, how do we
Yes.
set the tone? Um, and that goes for both parties too. Like if somebody comes to me and says, okay, like, I work 9 to 5, I have, X, Y, and Z to do, but I have this amount of hours in a week, that gives me a lot more insight into how fast we can get it done, but also what can they actually deliver to me week to week or every 2 weeks or every month, right? To keep it going.
Exactly. And I think that is something that like upfront in general, that is something I'm starting to require for like any project that I work on.
Yeah.
And also being able to kind of communicate kind of like a project manager sometimes to be able to actually chart out what that timeline is going to be through
Yes.
the amount of effort that we have. And I think that's very important to get things done.
Yeah. 100%. With you.
I
I
am
saw
so
that
sorry.
coming. Bless you. No, I saw that. I saw your face and I was like, oh, she's gonna sneeze.
Yeah.
Oh, no, you're fine. All good. This is a great organic moment. I'll snip that out and save it. So, no, that's super helpful. I'll send you, like I said, what I have so far, so if I need feedback, and then you can also, of course, use that, framework. Any last things you want to chat about? Or sorry, chat about. Any things you wanted to ask me, or anything that I missed going over this process?
What has been your favorite part of working on this project?
Oh, such a good question. Mm. Okay, definitely collaborating with you and Win on Keeper of Secrets was very exciting for me. Even though it was sort of a background project, like we were focused on other things. Like both of us, like I was focused on 2 songs with them whilst doing that, and also with you 2 other songs. So it was almost like it was the last one we finished, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
But
So just worlds collide.
that was a really cool experience for me because I don't think this is actually my first time that I've had 2 artists that I'm working with collaborate on my beat.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Woo, we got that badge.
Yeah. So that was really cool. Of course, meeting you in person also. Um,
Yeah, for that wedding. That was awesome.
yeah. So, oh gosh, there's so many moments. But in terms of the creative process, definitely having both of you on the song was great. In terms of us, I think when we decided it was going to be an EP, I think we had a call like May of last year and
Something
decided
like,
it
yeah.
and you were like and I was like, what's our game plan kind of going forward, and you were like, oh, I want it to be an EP, and you were like, and I was like, whoa, that's awesome, because this is only I think the second or third EP I've done. The first one was definitely Wynn's farce project, like, Escape. um but this is maybe the third EP that I've like fully produced and
Oh, really?
engineered. So yeah, so super exciting. Obviously, like I said, I've learned so much in the process. I love what you said too about the people that have understand the psychology of an artist at different levels. Like they've been doing it for 20 years. Sometimes I need to remind myself this is only my third year doing this. And so in the long scheme, long game, like I'm doing pretty well for where we're at, but definitely I know I have so much to learn, and that's just going to come with more reps, like we said.
Exactly. Just kind of keep going, keep pushing, and keep that good collaborative spirit up. And I think you're doing well.
Thank you. No, I appreciate that. Awesome. Any last things, or is that any other questions you have for me?
Um, no, I don't think so.
Awesome. Okay, I think this was really fun. Also, we got to like go through a lot of what the project was like for you, kind of where you were at before as well, which is really powerful, honestly. um, and we will definitely be doing 2 more interviews on Adara's channel of like the process of making the song. So if you guys are interested in that as well, then feel free to go check it out. I'll try to link it in the description as well. Um, but yeah, I'm super excited to be working with you. I'm proud of us. I'm excited to keep working. So yeah, we'll sign off there for
Yay.
today. But this has been awesome. Thanks for hopping on.
Of course. Thanks for having me here.